Hi everyone, welcome back to Talent Order's Breakfast Briefing. This week I'm joined by Tim Rawlins, Director and Senior Advisor at NCC Group, and we'll be discussing post-COVID cyber and consulting business changes. Tim, thank you so much for joining me this week. Really appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts with me. Before we go into any questions, can you give the audience a little bit of background on your career history so that I can understand why I might be asking you these questions?
Sure, and thanks, Amy, for inviting me along. Tim Rawlins, I have a long background in security. Started off doing government work, doing security for the government, and then came out into the private sector, and I really worked in what I like to call real security, in as much as I worked with people, places and events. I did corporate security jobs and operations director jobs. And 4 years ago, I came on board with NCC Group, which is the UK's largest specialist cyber assurance company. And my role now is really to try and help the boards and the execs that I talk to understand that cybersecurity is a business risk. And it's really that differentiation. So I'm not a technical guy, I'm not a sales guy, but I help with that translation of the deeply technical, the huge response that we have to the reporting that we do on the issues that we discover and find for organizations. And I help turn that into business speak effectively by briefing the boards.
Brilliant, thank you. So how do you think your industry will adapt post-COVID?
I think it's the industry, the cybersecurity industry, has been constantly adapting. And certainly NCC Group and we adapted as we started off in the lockdown by having to ensure that we could continue to deliver services to our clients. And I think that's probably been seen across the industry. So we've had to adapt. We've had to do things like do our penetration testing remotely. Now, we were at sort of 70% remote anyway, but we've had to increase that. And I think that sort of change, the requirements that clients used to say, well, you've got to come and sit in our data center. There's no possible way you could attach to it remotely. I think they've realized, well, actually, you can. You can do it securely. You can do it safely. Their own staff are doing it, and we are acting for them. We can do it as well. So I think there will be that transition. I think, unfortunately, we will see and have seen some of the smaller organizations fold, those that haven't been able to keep the business going. So we may see some consolidation. We may see, and as we certainly have been seeing, some movement of staff around different organizations. But I think the industry itself will continue to thrive. You know, the requirement for cybersecurity won't have gone away. If anything, it's become more of a focus as organizations have moved to remote working. They've opened themselves up to a whole new set of attack vectors, and the industry as a whole is going to be helping to support those organizations sorting themselves out. And I think actually there's going to be a sort of a bit of a technical debt that needs to be paid back. People moved very quickly into the cloud, and now I think we're sort of drawing breath and going, okay, let's just check the configurations we've got are secure. Let's just check the environment is secure. And if we can do that, then there's going to be more work than the industry can deal with.
Absolutely. You're always going to need cyber professionals. That's not going to go away. Do you expect growth, shrinkage? You mentioned that you're going to have more work potentially. Do you think the industry will grow?
Yeah, I think it probably will. There's no reason why it shouldn't. You know, people talk about the rising tide. I think there is a lot of work to be done. There is, as people move away from legacy systems and trying to adapt to new cloud infrastructure and new cloud services, there's a whole new area to be secured. As we see the increasing use of IoT by individuals and organizations, then that needs to be secured. And each of these new inventions, these new ideas that come on board, they give us the opportunity to work with organizations to secure them properly.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I think it's going to be a growth industry. I really do. I'm committed to it personally, that we need to grow. The demand is there. We've just got to make sure that we can supply for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned clients wanting people to come on site previously. How else do you think clients have had to adapt other than, you know, making do with people working from home?
The clients themselves, we've seen some things. So one of the areas that we've seen is that some of our clients have gone, you know what, we're not going to run our own SOC. We're not going to run our own security operations center anymore. We found it difficult during lockdown. We found it difficult to get our staff to work remotely to support it. We've got too many issues for them to be dealing with. So one of the things that we've certainly seen is them go, look, you take over managing the SOC. So you do the first line of response to an incident. You do that first checking to see whether or not it's a false positive. And so a number of them turned to us and said, look, just crack on and do this for us, help us so that we can focus on delivering the services internally to our own staff and our clients, whilst you take some of the specialist work away. And I think that's one of the big changes that has come out. The big move to the cloud. I mean, who hasn't had to suddenly start, using Teams or Zoom or one of the webinar programs? Our clients have done that. They have obviously had to make a decision as to who to go with, what licenses to get, how to manage it. And I think as things have continued and as there's been a bit of an easing of the lockdown in various countries, then they're using that as an opportunity to readjust, to look and see, well, have we actually done it as securely as we should have done? Are we making best use of our licenses, or can we get a better return on investment by changing something? And I think that's what we're going to continue to see. So the continuation of us providing sort of professional services around risk management and governance is one of those sort of growth areas that the clients need that additional support. They won't be able to get it internally. They won't be able to deliver that all themselves. So they'll turn outside for additional help.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you expect the global cyber landscape to change at all post-COVID?
The cyber landscape, I don't think so. I think it's just going to be more of the same. We're going to see more of the threat actors, the bad guys and girls in whatever form are going to continue doing what they've always done. We have seen, an uptick in ransomware, but it's still, a lot of it's still coming in, they're still gaining access through classic phishing. Yes, there's always going to be the super technical, the very high threat type actors, but the majority of what we're seeing is still fairly regular, fairly basic type things. And if we help our clients secure their networks and systems, we can help stop that lateral movement. If we can significantly increase the monitoring, the detection and response capabilities, then whatever the landscape changes around the outside, whatever the threat actors, come and go and increase and reduce in their activities, then our clients are going to be in a better place. So I think from a global landscape point of view, we're going to see an increasing focus around what we call MDR, that managed detection and response. If we can really drive down the length of time that the bad guys and girls have to play on the networks, really then quickly get them out of the systems, we stand a chance of reducing the amount of damage that they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and what advice do you offer fellow cyber professionals?
Fellow cyber professionals, I suppose I offer them the opportunity to say, look, there is an awful lot of work out there. There is, no matter what you've heard, there is room in the industry for all sorts of people. It's not just the huge and deeply technical people. It's a wide range of people. We've got to remember that there's the people and the process side of it, not just the technology side. So bringing in people who have an awareness of the insider threat, people who have the ability to teach and train others, people who can sit and write policies and process. This is all part of the cybersecurity industry. We need to get people in, we need to get them in, and we really need to ensure that they are able to come into an industry that is supportive, welcoming, and all-encompassing. And I think if we do that, we stand a better chance of growing the industry, improving our own reputation, and ensuring that we continue to deliver for clients, which is the whole reason that we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. There's so much work out there for cyber professionals. There's always going to be, there's always going to be hackers, and there's always going to be threats. There's always going to need cyber professionals. You know, I count myself quite lucky that I'm a cyber recruiter, because things carry on, and
Absolutely. You're in a great business to be in.
I know.
And it's a good business. It's a fun, interesting environment to work in.
It is, and I think even so, I've been doing a few events, attending cyber events during COVID to keep my brain going and find out more. I'm always learning, and it's a great community. It is a great community. They have fun, and yeah, I think join cyber. It's great, and there's always going to be work there. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for all of the information that you've given us today. They are all of my questions for today. Thank you again for taking part. I'm sure our viewers will find it really, really helpful.
Good.
If you have any further questions for Tim, or any ideas for what themes you'd like to hear about next, please email me on amy.morris@talentorder.com or message me via LinkedIn. To see more of Talent Order's breakfast briefing surrounding various different topics, I'll leave the link down below. I hope you're all staying safe and well. I'll see you next week. Bye.